Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Old School Gamer Live. I hope everybody's doing great out there tonight. Like always, I got my boy KC hanging out with me. I hope he is doing great. What's going on, man?
What's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday. Boy, KC, a.k.a. King Creole. We got a special legend in the house. I'm looking forward to this. I'm really excited. Basically, the most iconic voice of the 90s.
If you went into an arcade, you heard this blasting in your ear 10,000 times before you left the place. I am so excited to talk with him and find out where he came from and what he's fixing to work on. I bet he's got all kinds of stuff in the fire. If I had to throw out a wild guess. But let's get in on what we got planned for tonight, guys. Our latest news. Casey, what have we got going on in the world of retro news?
All right, so everybody watched the Nintendo Direct. If you're a Nintendo fan like me, sorry, you Sega folks. Nah, I know Shane's in the chat. He's going to get me later. But all jokes aside, Nintendo announced that they're going to drop Game Boy and Game Boy Advance games. Our boy Six Ryhan, who's in the chat, I'm sure, he already fired off Tetris, but as you can see, look at this list of games, guys. I had this, and everybody in the world that had a Game Boy when it dropped had Tetris. If you didn't play Tetris or if you never heard of it, shame on you. But Tetris was the game that was the pack-in game with the original Game Boy. We got the Game & Watch gallery. I played those 100 million times. Metroid, I was just talking with No Quarter. That was one of my favorites. I don't care what form factor, what platform, whatever. Metroid is one of my favorite games. You got a couple Zeldas that's dropping. In the future, you have some advanced games. If you look, F-Zero, that was a good game too. Mario Kart Super Circuit, another slamming title. They couldn't have done any better with this list. I'm hoping to see some more games drop, No Quarter. But these are the initial games that are coming, and these are the ones that are slated to drop soon.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Let's move on to our weekly tournament roundup, guys. This is where we talk about all the different home arcade tournaments and challenges that are going on. Now, if you have a tournament or challenge that you are going to be promoting, let us know so we can talk about it on the show. First of all, we've got the Polycade. They have this really sweet asteroids tournament going on right now, and they are planning this. They're sort of revolving their tournaments around different artists. And so the first one is the Chantel Martin, really cool art style. Really like it. And the first tournament was the intro tournament. The second one last week was Beat Nolan, which was really, really cool. You had to beat Nolan himself on his score. Pretty fun. And now this week is the Asteroids Cup. So get in on that. And there's lots and lots of prizes to win. As you can see, you can win one of the fancy new, what do they call that, Casey? The Framecade? I can't remember what they call that.
So that's the new form factor that, man, Polycade has got some heat, guys. I was just talking with No Quarter. I'm looking at adding the Polycade to the Creolecade, a.k.a. You Play West. Thinking about adding one. And as you can see, they're coming out with a Framecade. It looks like a picture frame, but it's arcade. And it has a controller at the bottom. Check that out.
Yeah, super cool. This week on MCAP Corner, his pinball tournament, the Spooky 2017. You got to play that on the ALP, the At Games pinball table. It ends February 15th at 9 a.m. So get your scores in on that. Sunday nights, fight night. Old Gary Ray, he has been doing some really awesome stuff over there on the Underground Facebook page. Go check out his stuff. If you like fighting games, if you're interested in Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, all that kind of stuff, they do this every Sunday night. Go check them out. One of our favorite tournaments, the New York Turf Masters, comes around every single year. It's back again, guys, the February Classic. Warren is running it again. As you can see, this week is USA. So get your scores submitted on the USA Challenge. All right, guys, last week's game of the week for iArcade was Mat Mania. Let's pull up the score on this and see. Let's see
who
here.
got it? Who participated last week? What we got?
We'll pull this up. All right, we need to spin the wheel. What we've done is we cut the wheel down to 50 instead of 100. So you got to get in the top 50 to be able to get there. So let's see here who's going to win this. Here we go.
Nineteen.
All right, who's 19? Got that out of here.
Who's 19? Got here.
DAF. D-A-F-E.
Canadian.
Canadian companion, of course.
No Quarter always talks about shipping to Canada.
You gotta love shipping stuff to Canada. Oh, it's all right. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. Congratulations to DAFE. Hit us up, man, and we will get you a nice old school gamer prize sent off to you. I do see that Ryan decided to show up. Good to see you, man. How are you?
Yeah, I knew I'd get plenty of crap.
What's going on, man?
I was up with the daughter. It's like, oh, great. I usually have something going on about this time. My phone goes off. I was like,
He didn't even have time to take off his Star Trek uniform. Look at him.
I'm about to say he just came back from the Enterprise. What's going on, man?
All right, what's going on in the land of magazines? What do you got, Ryan?
We are working on a special issue that we give out at all the cons. That's what I've been spending my extra time on getting that put together. It'll be an issue that we handle like 5,000-6,000 copies of at all the conventions. And normally it's not part of our normal subscription thing, but I think we're going to send a couple to some of our special, extra awesome people that are on our boards and stuff like that. So working on that, working on the next issue. The next issue, I think we've already talked about a little bit, is a lot about Stern Electronics, kind of continuing our Chicago story. And there's a lot of stuff in there about Ultima. I was talking with a friend of us. We need to get on here on the show, and I think we might be able to get Lord British to show up in one of the cons for us.
Okay.
And of course, we're gonna have to get him in here for that. So,
nice.
We're bringing Richard Garriott, cosmonaut, adventurer, and Lord British of the Ultimate Series.
Sweet. I have the latest issue here. I got it in, man. I was blown away by the gloss pages on the inside because last time we talked, there was supposed to be a matte finish, but everything's gloss. Did they upgrade us?
No, I don't know. I'd have to go back and check.
Dude, it's so nice.
It is glossy, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really nice. I'm actually really impressed by it, man. I'm very happy with the quality.
We're just going to keep on trying to improve this whole thing. We're going to keep on going onward and upward.
Awesome. All right. Let's get back to Ryan interrupted me by showing up. Let's get back to the game of the week. This week, iArcade again. It's going to be goal, goal, goal. All you have to do is play and get thrown onto the leaderboards, and we will. You will be a random winner.
That's a fun one online, guys. That is a fun game.
I've got to set my iArcade back up. It's literally sitting right over here after I found a way to break the screen on it. Because I was taking it apart for all the cons and traveling it in. I literally had it in a suitcase. Take the top. I didn't hold the bottom part along. Took it apart, rebuilt it at the con, took it back apart, and then took it home. And I found a way to break a screen.
Wow.
That's after like flying it like 15 times. They built some darn good hardware. There's no doubt about it.
Flying with it too.
Holy everywhere.
Yep.
Wow. All right. Well, let's bring on our friend of Old School Gamer, the most iconic voice that you guys. I got to bring him on here. Tim, my friend, how are you?
What's going on, Tim?
I think he's got his headphones in right now. He doesn't. There you are. Hey, man.
He's live. We live, Tim.
He's getting his light on.
Keep his microphone down a little bit on volume because he seems.
Give me a second. I see Ryan there. What's up,
Yep.
Ryan?
Yep, Ryan showed up.
All right.
When's the next event I'm going to get to see you at?
To make an entrance, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You guys all had your professional mics on, so couldn't do the laptop. How are you?
Good, man. Good to see you.
Man. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you guys. Thanks
So
for having me on.
Let's get everybody caught up with your story and how you walked into the legendary thing that's now quoted by every sportscaster out in the world.
Yeah.
Tell us about how we get up to the NFL Blitz and the NBA Jam and that kind of stuff. Give us a little bit of your story.
Well, I was fortunate enough to be a guy who always wanted to play drums no matter how much that was never going to happen. So I kept playing them while I was pursuing acting and improv studying here in Chicago, waiting tables like most actors do. And in a weekend warrior band, as it's known, playing my drums. One of the guys in the band happened to work out at Williams, and he was the music into all those great pinball games. And back then, one guy had to compose, score, usually through the computer and the keyboards, all the music for the pinball games. They were also responsible for the script and for getting the talent. And usually the talent was found in studio, like Steve Ritchie, doing a lot of those guys, those famous, Mark Ritchie doing stuff. Actually, one of the first Elvira game, Mark Ritchie did the Elvira, the sidekick guy, right?
Yeah.
And later on, I ended up doing the sidekick, and including in the recent one that just came out, Elvira House of Horrors. So anyway, he asked me if I could do a Mr. Howell voice because they were trying to do a Gilligan's Island game and they couldn't find someone to do it. And I went, "Oh, Gilligan, maybe we could bribe Kona." And that was enough to get me in. It was enough to get me on board. So 4 years later and a bunch of titles later, they said, "Hey, we're working on a game across the street, NBA Jam." Actually, it didn't have the Jam title. It was just a basketball game. It was not even licensed by the NBA at that time. And of course, I jumped at the chance, and kind of the rest is history. Once I did that, Mark Trammell, the creator, the genius behind that, said, "Hey, come on in for NFL Blitz and so on, and MLB Slugfest and hits." So, the work of just putting in on those pinball games and doing that work won me a seat at the table and respect from those guys. So, been very fortunate.
Wow, that is so amazing.
Man.
Did you ever do any diction work at all? Did you do any schooling, or did you just do it naturally?
That stuff. My whole life was always like the cartoon voices, like Simon Bar Sinister says, "Underdog must die." It was my old Simon Bar Sinister, or "Wow, blow me down, it's Glissy Hag." And Popeye, I did that in the pinball game, and another one like, "But Truby doesn't know I let him have it. He's so unselfish, Judy dog." So on and on. I just, always loved doing voices, but I did have a conservatory acting training in Purchase College, and that was your voice and movement and dance and makeup and clown school and everything. So it was like Juilliard. And I worked on the stage doing Shakespeare and Chekhov and various different classics and Kaufman and Hart for years before I came to Chicago. But my love was really comedy, so I came to the Second City stage. And I was around when all those big shots were out here, and I never got my big chance on the big stage or with the Saturday Night Live guys. But I found my own niche, which I'm proud of, because I'm the only Second City guy that found a way into this great game industry and made a name for myself. So I used to, audition with Steve Carell. He was out a lot. Stephen Colbert. Actually, Steve Carell and I both auditioned for the new host of the new Mickey Mouse Club back in the 90s. And neither of us got it. But just to show you, there was so much talent, and it was, Tim Meadows and Chris Farley and on and on and on. It was just a great time to be here in Chicago. But as I said, it seemed so disappointing that I didn't get that break that I wanted with Second City and then on to, Saturday Night Live, et cetera. But it's kind of funny how I wasn't looking for this career in voiceover, and to be able to then write the scripts for NFL Blitz, for Slugfest, for, all these shows in Mutant Football League has been a great thing, because I've kind of been given the same chance like Tina Fey created 30 Rock. So I'm creating a whole world of games and all the speech and the characters. So it's really a thrill to find myself here 30 years later, and people are still interested in the old titles. But I've got new titles. As I said, Mutant Football League is it's a remake of the '93 Sega, but the original creator Michael Menheim lives here in Chicago. Yeah. He brought me in, and we've got 2 versions under our belt, and we're working on a complete new build that we're hoping to have out in the next year. So, yeah.
I love that game. That's a very fun game. What platforms is that going to be released on?
It's anything and everything. You can get a game on Twitch, and, it was on Xbox and PS4 and everything else.
So for a game like that, you got to go and record everybody's voice in different ways so they can then crop, he's going downtown, Berkeley, that kind of thing.
I'm about to say, that's tough, man. You don't realize, as you're telling your story, Tim, I didn't realize how much went into that. As a kid, you're playing these games, you don't know. You just hear he's on fire, but you don't know how what went into.
It was fairly simple. The very first game, NBA Jam, was fairly simple. It was the players' roster took up most of the time to record Stockton, Pippen. So each player had the 3 inflections. But the actual script was based on John Hay, who did the music for it, watching NBC Game of the Week with Marv Albert, and basically just grabbing his phrases. So if people remember, Marv was famous for.
Marv used to say that,
Vinnie Johnson's like, the human microwave, he's heating up, he's on fire. So I came in trying to emulate. We wanted to sound like Game of the Week. So I wasn't worried about ego, I want to have my own thing. I was a big fan of Marv. So I kind of took him as an inspiration, and then over time it became my own. And of course, with Blitz and Slugfest, I created, I didn't go up in the Marv register, NFL Blitz 99. That was totally unnecessary, but a whole lot of fun to watch. Let's see it again, Arnie. So I kind of developed my own style. And by the time we did the EA Sports remake of Jam, I wrote the entire script. Of course, we kept the classics, but that's when you get the more my Second City, background, my thrill of writing it's kind of a stand-up / announcer Sports Center kind of a gig. If you guys played the EA version, from downtown, and rummaging through my wife's top dresser drawer, he finds nothing but nylon.
Yeah. I remember that one specifically.
Oh, man. The block doctor is in, and we'll see you now. Have a seat. Oh, I love it when you call me Big Blocka. Rejected. Or like my wife always says, not tight.
Hey, look, I'll tell you, Tim, you said you didn't get to Saturday Night Live, but how many generations of people grew up with your voice? And I could still hear it as we're talking.
Well,
how many people grew up with that?
I mean, it hadn't occurred to me until this last year, where I did 12 of the retro game shows in the Great Midwest Gaming Classic, and that's where I met Ryan. And it's so much fun to meet the fans, because it occurred to me this game has been heard worldwide. And if you think of $1 billion in quarters the first years, how many people had to play that, who grew up on it? And then the home versions for the kids made, they sold another 60 million units for that. So probably, 1 billion people or hundreds of millions have somewhere heard that game in an arcade, played it at home. So I hit the big time, came in the back door, and I'm fine with it except for the paycheck. That's all.
Wish you was still there, I guess.
I was making a fortune back then. It was $50 an hour, to go in and be silly.
Yeah, back then.
Hell yeah.
He made $1 billion and I made 50. So,
nowadays you have your own studio at home.
Yeah.
I mean, when you recorded stuff for my voicemail.
I do a lot of stuff for simpler kind of requests, but for Mutant Football League and all the other games, I prefer the big studios and be treated like some big shot.
A real hot shot, huh?
Just have that glass window that's staring at you through, huh?
Yeah.
What was different between the original recording, like the process from back then to now? How did they digitize it back then? What is there any difference?
Yeah, you would have to ask the original guy, John Hay, like the compression. You hear those the sound on like welcome to NBA Jam. It's like it just sounds different. The way it had to be compressed, the lack of space, the technology back then to hold all that information, everything was just compressed. And I love the sound of. There's something. It's like old time radio to me. This the same like. And welcome to the.
Yeah.
But now it's a very full, rich radio voice sound for all of them, which is great too. But no, it's this process has always been the same, and I tackle it. The scripts are so huge though now. Now I think when I did NHL Hits, there were 17,000 total calls. Like every player had probably 5 or 6 different intonations for their name. And the most difficult names in the world to pronounce are hockey players. There's barely a vowel between the whole team. These Russian and Eastern European names. That was a rough gig. But no, it's still a lot of fun. My writing for Mutant Football League is just a blast. Like so I'm the 3 guys in the booth, and one guy is my alter ego, Grim Blitzrow. And then it's Brickhead Mulligan, a former player who took not enough steroids, but he still had enough steroids that he had a growth on his shoulder, and he's Bricks Jr. So that's the 3-headed crew. So and we record this in real time. We don't do like all one character, then all another character. So I'll be like, well, we're in San Francisco, because we have parody names for all the team. San Francisco, and a lot of great sights in town. Bricks, any places you want to see?
Well, the best bang for the buck for me has got to be the front row at the Tits and Ass Club.
He goes, yeah. How about you, Bricks?
I want to go see the Fisherman's Dwarf. It's Wharf, you idiot. Oh, Wharf the Dwarf. It rhymes. It's a cute name for a little fella.
This game. Hey, you went next level with Mutant Football League. I was playing that with our buddy Six here on Switch, and the call outs in there.
It's crazy.
It threw me off playing.
Yeah,
I tell you, it throws you off.
It's like my old joy was to 5 brothers, 2 sisters was to make someone get the milk, spit it out their, out the nose at dinner table, and so that's the equivalent of trying to get a line in a game where someone has to stop. And I saw a lot of comments after in the reviews about MLB Slugfest that I had to stop and pause the game, laughing so much, the unexpected stuff from left field. Absolutely love it.
Is there any future with MFL? Are you planning another version of it soon?
Yeah, I mentioned we are working on it right now, and unfortunately, half his team is dev team is from Ukraine, and so because of the tragedy over there, it's just been really, really tough. We were actually expecting to have it out this for this season, but hopefully we'll have it out by next season. But it's going to be great, just amazing game.
How about other sports? I guess it's something more to ask him about. But I mean, I'd love to see you do. I'm not a football guy. I'd like to see what they can mess with baseball, for instance. I don't know if it can go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, MLB Slugfest was actually my favorite game because
I'm talking the Mutant and the Mutant.
Oh, the Mutant Football League. Oh, yes, we are hoping. Michael said, and I've got a meeting with him tomorrow. There's a good chance that hockey is going to get done. People have been asking for it forever, and hardcore fans out there for it. And there are another couple things that might go into the mutant world, hopefully. And I'd love to do a Saturday morning cartoon like they used to have back in the 90s. They had a short-lived mutant league football back then it was called. Yeah.
Very cool. Do you have any other projects coming over the horizon?
I do. I've got another. Unfortunately, I just don't want to talk about a specific title because there's actually two different companies and the sports. I want to wait till that comes out. So there is another sports game in the future. I'm working on a fishing app that's going to be crazy over the top fun because it has me just going crazy like
that's funny.
Boat.
Wait, the loud voice that is you in most ways. I've seen it. Wouldn't that scare the fish away?
What's that?
Get the fish to jump in the boat.
Yeah, exactly. And then I've been really lucky to be working with NBA teams. I just did a gig with the Milwaukee Bucks, my third time up there. Their halftime Rim Rockers Dunk Show. So that was a lot of fun.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's like, now it's time for a little old school rap on the rim, Run DMC style. Run DMC stands for Run, Dunk, Muy Caliente.
That is awesome. So you get a lot of voiceover work then, pretty much, or voice work.
I started making cold calls to the NBA, and a few years back, I did 2 seasons with the Warriors during the playoffs and finals. You can find all that either going to my website, timkitzrow.com, or just YouTube, NBA Jam, Warriors. And so they would send me highlights at the end of each round of the playoffs and the finals. So I did all my crazy stuff, and I'd throw in some graphics. And what does 2-time champ Steph Curry have for breakfast? Snap, crackle, and pop. Nice crisp threes. Make them a part of your balanced NBA diet. And it's closing time. It's closing time. The Warriors are down by 2. What's Chef Curry cooking up? It's fast, easy. It's fast, easy to make, and a real crowd pleaser. Curry surprise, a San Francisco treat. So, boom shakalaka as it goes through.
How many times you said Curry was on fire during that?
Oh, yeah.
Man,
amazing.
It's constantly on fire.
This year, are you going to be at Midwest Gaming? What other shows?
Of course, I'll be at Midwest. I did 12 shows last year. Midwest Gaming is always one of my favorites. It was my first big show to really get initiated into the retro game con, and there's so many great shows around the country having so much fun. And we call ourselves the Rat Pack. It's all the guys from Mortal Kombat. We've gotten to know each other really well, and Paul Niemeyer, the great artist who did the dragon and the illustration, but Dan Pacine and all those guys, we just have a ball. And I'll tell you, stop by and see us at any of the game shows, Midwest Gaming Classic. You will be in for a treat.
I've hung out on the side of this group before. I can't handle the full gang.
No one can, Ryan. No one can.
His gang.
Yeah.
Too intense.
They're singing.
If you guys listen to any podcasts, check out the This League Uncut. It's with Chris Haynes and Mark Stein. Mark Stein was the former top NBA guy for the New York Times and ESPN. Chris Haynes from TNT. Yeah. Anyway, Mark Stein's always been a huge NBA Jam fan. He's always said, we got to do something together. When I do this thing, you got to do like top 10. Well, finally, he's doing this podcast, and he calls me up and says, you want to do the intro? So I've given him a handful of intros, and it's a blast. It's a hoot, So I've got myself all over that podcast. So go check that one out. It's called This League Uncut.
This League.
Okay. We'll definitely check that one out.
It's like in the 24-hour news cycle of the NBA, you snooze, you lose. Hey, Chris Haynes, it's go time. Mark Stein, it's showtime. And now here they are. This League Uncut is underway and on fire. This is going to be a good one.
Yeah. Okay. We've already had a couple of people ask in the chat. We've got to get a boom shakalaka out of a live screaming out. You guys have any other questions for him, or should we let him wrap this whole thing up with a recap of the show he was just part of and take us out? You got anything else?
We can do that. We have one last segment we're going to do.
Okay.
I talked to Tim if he would be kind enough to do a quick. We'll play a couple of rounds. I just want Tim to do a play-by-play of us. We're going to do our countdown real quick. Let's do that real quick. Old school weekly countdown. Casey, what's number 5?
So number 5, pull that one up because I forgot what I told you. Heavy Smash. So Heavy Smash was one of those arcade games that it kind of reminds you of Windjammers, but it's football. It's a great game. It's on our arcade. I actually never played it until I got it on the arcade. This was one I don't remember in the arcade. I'm sure it was there, but you know how that goes. It was so many great arcade games out at the time. You might have missed a few good ones. So Heavy Smash is my number 5.
Number 4.
10-yard fight is my number 4. So this game right here set the tone for everything. All the football games, 10-yard fight is one of those vertical kind of football games, I call it. where you had to shake out of a tackle by using the joystick. I mean, I put a beating on my arcade joystick. Pretty much every platform that I played this on, I've heard it. And I've also, the first time that I remember playing this wasn't in the arcade. It was actually on NES. So that was the first time I played 10-Yard Fight. That's my number 4.
Number 3.
Man, I could go a whole show on this game. Tecmo Bowl I got it on NES back in the day. I was a big Bo Jackson fan, and you guys know who I played with. I played with the Raiders. Bo Jackson was unstoppable, but contrary to popular belief, that wasn't the only team that was unstoppable. The New York Giants and the 49ers were actually good on Tecmo Bowl as well.
Number 2.
Now, you know I can't be on a show with Tim and not talk about the best arcade football game, and that's NFL Blitz. I have my arcade one up, NFL Blitz cab. I got it day one. That was a dream come true because the only way I was able to play this was on my Dreamcast. So to be able to get an arcade in my house, I never would have thought that. What was that, 20 years ago? Almost. What,
Welcome to Blitz 99.
Look, 99. There you are. So I would have never thought that. And what's number 1, though, Corey?
Number 1. Number 1.
Number 1.
Oh, my. It's a party up in here now.
Hey, NBA Jam. What can I say about this one? There's nothing to say. But I do know that No Quarter challenged me to play.
All right. Let's get this party started. Tonight's matchup. There's MJ, Mark Trammell.
Much better than I thought. This is going to be awesome. Here we go, folks. Here we go.
Ryan was worried. He didn't know what was happening.
Tonight's matchup, No Quarter takes on JC.
All right, here we go.
Now, who are we going to play as?
Don't want to mess up our ranks here.
Wow.
That's a great matchup. Oh, this is Hang Time. That's what I thought. Because that's Neil Funk, the Bulls commentator. That was the one title I didn't do with them. Nice job, guys.
Kidding me?
That's all right.
Unbelievable.
Well, you could tell. It was just kind of like boring.
Well, sorry about that.
That's all right.
Call it over top of their announcer. You can do better.
I don't even know who's who in there. I can't tell their faces. What do you got there? That's why I never played this game. You guys know I've never played a game of NBA Jam.
No kidding.
No.
That's hilarious.
From downtown, nothing but net. There you go. There's a little fire. Listen to him. Elijah Wan. You know, you
go.
But the funny thing is, Neil is such a great announcer with the Bulls, but not everybody can do go in and be an actor in the studio. It's a different gig. Let's see what kind of fire he brings. This is the first time I've ever heard this, to hear Neil Funk. It's so weird to hear someone else in a midway game other than me. From way downtown, he's on fire. From long range. That's the energy you need, Neil. Come on. In the lane. Oh, blocked. Rejected.
Drop it. No.
He says, get that stuff out of here. Uh-oh. Stolen. Razzle dazzle. Rimming. No good. The bigger the shove, the bigger the love.
Come on.
Nothing but net.
Big finish. Come on.
Wild shot underneath.
Do something.
Ugly shot. Can't buy a bucket. No good. Jams it in with the Monster Jam.
Awesome.
Well, matchup. JC, one of the smartest dunkers, smartest players on the team. He actually majored in Monster Jams at BU. That's Boom Shakalaka University. And no quarter. When he was in college, he lived over a pizzeria and earned extra money delivering pizzas. Now in the NBA, he lives over the rim and earns his living delivering facials. Boom Shakalaka.
Oh, perfect. Man, thank you so much for doing that. That was a blast. I think he's still playing. I just wanted to do one. I just wanted to win real quick, and then I'm good. Just do the one quarter.
Nice.
That was funny.
Well, Tim, where can everybody find you online, my friend?
They can find me at Tim _Kitzrow on Twitter, and you can find me on Facebook. And go to my website, timkitzrow.com. You can see some of the things I was talking about, the work with the NBA, the list of all my games. And check out the Stein line. And then I'm doing a new game for iArcade. It's the Titans. What did I say? The Titans.
Heavy Metal Titans.
Heavy Metal Titans.
Yeah.
Cameo on that. That's going to be out this month. And some other fun stuff. I'm going to the All-Star game next week for the second time. Last year I went out there as a Ultra Jam mashup. Michelob Ultra did a multi-million-dollar campaign, turned a bar across the street from the stadium into a place called Boom Shakalaka's. A weekend party. They had DJ Jazzy Jeff and Fat Joe opening night. And then they brought in Drexler, Worthy, Mutombo, rest his soul, and Dominic Wilkins. And I got to interview all of those guys on stage and do all their little call outs as they came onto the stage. It's like, Drexler says, I can't go to work without my coffee and donuts. You bring the coffee and I'll bring the Dunkin'. And the Dunkin' drive-thru lane is wide open for Drexler.
If you need a roadie to help you out and be your
You're right.
Yeah. I'm very willing. I mean, I can't be a body.
Ryan said he'll be a roadie.
Yeah, but you don't drink, Ryan. You're not going to be fun out on the road, man. That's the problem.
I have fun.
Hey, trust me, we have fun. We went to, where did we go to that Steak and Shake? We had a blast there. You had about You guy ate about 3 gallons of ice cream that day.
He got wasted on strawberry shakes.
He did. I'm telling you.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys hanging out with us tonight.
Thank you, guys.
Tim, thank you so much, my friend. We'll definitely have you on the show again if you'll have us. Thank you so much, and we will see everybody next Thursday, 7 p.m. Central Time. Have a good one.